Hey guys, it's Fayon. Welcome back to the Passive Hang. I'm going to take you through one of my favorite stretches today, the Cobra Stretch using the rings. Now, it's one of my favorite ways to stretch out the whole shoulder girdle, spine, and even the hips to some extent. It really targets so many different areas. Now, you can scale this stretch all the way down to a very introductory level. So if you've never done this type of stretch before, I'm going to show you a way of how to introduce this into your practice, and then you can progress it to a very, very advanced level. So I'm going to take you through a few variations on how to intensify it. Now, this is something that I still turn to on a very, very regular basis, and I get so much out of it. So I know you guys are going to get a lot out of it too. Let's get started. Ring Cobra Stretch. You want to start off with setting the rings about the level of your chin, but you can play around with it to find what is most suitable for you, especially when you're beginning. What you might find with some of these variations is, depending on your body structure, either taller or lower might make it easier or more harder for you, depending as well on where you feel the stretch the most. So I like to maybe just start at the bottom of the chin height, and we're going to start with just the basic front cobra, which is this stretch here, where I am facing the rings and I gently lower myself down onto my knees, and then I push my chest out underneath the rings and I hold this stretch here. In this stretch, I'm thinking about pushing my chest out in this direction to increase the arch. And this is the first progression where you can just hang here and start conditioning yourself for the hang, with keeping your knees and your feet on the ground and really trying to stretch up actively with your arms. So in this position, what I can also do is I can walk my knees forward a bit so that my chest is forward of the rings, and then actively try and pull back with my arms as well to increase the sensation of the arch. So this would be the first position with the front Cobra Stretch, where you really stretch out with the chest reaching forward, reaching back with the arms, trying to open up your chest. Now, to take it to the next step, I would take my knees off so that I'm only on my toes. So here I take my knees off and I hold this position, and that will intensify the stretch both on your shoulders and then especially on probably your lower back. There's a bit more lumbar extension demand on the lower back there, so you can start conditioning your back to this arching motion in this front Cobra Stretch. So I'm holding in this position, and then as I'm holding in that position, I'm making it, you can make it passive where you just breathe and you just try and hold, but I try and make it a bit more active. So I'm actively trying to push my chest forward, and I'm actively trying to reach up and behind with my shoulders as well to really increase the arch here. So if we come on for a more side view, you can see here, if you're behind the rings, this is the position where we want to then walk a bit more forward, so we're at least stacked underneath the rings, and then preferably we're pushing forward a bit more, and you can see then this creates more of an arch in my spine as I then pull back with the shoulders, with the rings, and then I'm pushing especially my rib cage, my lower ribs forward. So here in this front Cobra Stretch here, then to intensify, I push my knees off the ground and I actively straighten my legs and then try and push forward and hold here in this front Cobra Stretch. Oh, really great stretch to start conditioning your spine to extension and more of that arching motion, and then combining the shoulders with it. So that's the first variation. just the front facing Cobra Stretch. Now, the next one is where we introduce a more side-lying variation where I'm going to grab the ring so that my palm is facing towards me. I put my left foot, when I'm grabbing it with my right arm, so the opposite foot up here, and then can just, even if this is a bit more intense, you can probably just hold with both hands and then gently lower yourself down. You'll find yourself in this big stretch along the side here. If it's too intense, you can support yourself with the other hand. And I want to be stacked with my arm directly underneath the ring to start off with. And then from here, I can then try and push my hip down to the ground. And then there's a big stretch all along my side, all along the lat especially. And we can just work to hold here. Now we can start tweaking with this by slightly rotating the ring in or out, and then you can find different lines, especially through this shoulder girdle, which might be tight. And obviously you can take one hand off to also intensify the stretch. So that's one way where we can start progressing with the stretch. We can also place the other foot here. I'm still keeping my knee down. And then finally, I can push the knee off and then extend my legs so that I'm only on the side of my foot here. And then pushing down with that hip. And whoa, that's a really intense stretch all along the side here. Now, I'm going to swap to the other side because I've been spending a lot of time on this ring and this stretch. One other way to also progress this is, other than being stacked directly underneath the ring, you can also push so that you're also curving more across the ring, and then your hip is more underneath the ring, and then I'm actively reaching up with my hand as well, and then just pushing on the side of my leg, actively driving my hip down. And this is really conditioning my spine now in that side flexion, and also stretching my whole lat complex here. Whew. Again, I can play with rotation of the shoulder and the ring here to also find different lines of tension. And this one is really great for opening up overhead range. I like to do this sometimes before handstand practice. Lats sometimes really contribute to inhibiting shoulder flexion, so this is a really great approachable stretch that you can use, especially if you're looking to open up your shoulders for handstand work. So that's the side-lying Cobra Stretch. What we're going to do now to increase and progress this even more is we're going to combine the front Cobra Stretch with the side-lying Cobra Stretch. So what that is going to look like is, at its most basic version, we can start with the knee down and the foot support here. So I'm starting off with the front support, and then I'm going to twist so that I face to the front here. Maybe you can even use hand support as well. So now you're doing a one-handed front cobra, and then you come back again. And here, opening, and then coming back. It's like you're flossing between the two positions, just using whatever support that you might need. With this one, you can't use the hand support up here, so if you need the hand support there. I do recommend that you do start off with just the front cobra with the double hand and the side lying to condition yourself with this one before moving on to this more dynamic flossing movement. With this one, you can start to take away the hand support. You can also then just end up in this more advanced variation here where it's just your feet touching, and then again you're coming to front, then side, front, and then side to progress to this side to front floss variation. Very intense stretch on the shoulder girdle and then also on the spine, moving from this side bending position to that more arching extension based position. Now, the final one that I want to share with you guys today, very challenging one, but if you're up for a challenge, you can give it a go. I do recommend some caution with this one, and please try the other Cobra stretches for a while first, practice those before jumping into something like this. But this one really challenges the shoulder girdle and spine and takes it through a complete range of motion. So I call this one the rotational Cobra stretch. I'll show you the easiest variation first. So what we're going to do is we can start here. We can even start with this more basic support position with the knee down, and we're going to rotate to the front position here using as much support as we need with the hands and the knees. Then I'm going to keep on rotating around and then coming back to this front position. So we've done a full rotation here, and then you can go back as well, where just coming back nice and gently back to this position here. So this would be the most basic version of the rotational Cobra, where I'm using the hand support and this knee supported, foot supported position. Gonna swap arms once again, and I'll show you the next way to progress that. So with this one, we can now extend both legs. Maybe you might keep the knee support where you need to, but then you would take the knee off to progress it. So then you only are using the feet. Again, if you need to, in some of the more fragile positions, you can probably feel this in the shoulder. You always want to be feeling pretty strong in the shoulder. You can use the other hand as support. So from here, in this side lying position here, I then move to the front, might use some hand support here. I rotate all the way round to the back and then come back to the original position. I can then come back all the way this way using hand support, especially in this region is probably where you're going to need the most amount of support and to take it most cautiously at the start, and then back to this starting position. One more step again, if you are feeling like that one is fine, which is going to be the most challenging for this rotational Cobra stretch hang, is where we only do it with one foot. So what does that look like? So with one foot now free, so being the opposite foot, we can then now twist, come around, and then back again here, and then keeping that other foot off. Have to really push down hard with that foot, pull down hard in the rings, come around, and then be in this starting position here. Whew, that is intense on the shoulder, but you can see with the shoulder, it's such a complex mechanism that we can articulate all the way around this ring in this rotational pattern, and then provide this amazing stretch through different lines of the body with that rotational Cobra. So once again, recommend you start off with just the simple basic front Cobra stretch. That one can last you for a very, very long time. Something I use quite regularly just to prepare for arching based movements. You can then progress to the side lying Cobra stretch because you're starting to be more comfortable with supporting your weight with just one hand grip. Sometimes your grip might be the one that is the most limiting factor. You can then play around with the different uses of supports with the knee, taking away the other foot, taking away the other hand. Then you can start moving to the flosses between the side to the front, and then finally to the 360 rotational Cobra stretch at the end. And again, just be careful each time you progress to the next step. Listen to your body, see how stable you are within the shoulder joint. You know, at times I've also backed off on some of these stretches as well, where I've had a few niggles before. And then just be patient, you know, expose your body. This is months, years of practice to move up to these more advanced hanging progressions. But the front Cobra stretch in particular, this one, real favorite of mine to introduce arching to many people, because you are in quite a safe position. So that's something where you can start exposing your body to this type of loading pattern. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm going to post some instructions, some protocols, reps, set times, that sort of thing in the comments box below. So please check that one out if you want some more guidance. Otherwise, if you have any questions, please comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can find my details also on the website, that's at thepassivehang.com. And if you're interested in learning movement from me, from my style of movement, then please head over to that same website, that's at thepassivehang.com, and you can send me a message there. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.